Saturday, July 13th. In Germany, at his residence in Obersalzberg-Berchtesgaden, Hitler meets General Franz Halder, head of the Army General Staff, to analyze the plans for the invasion of Britain. Halder has confidence in the operation proposed by Jodl, unlike Admirals Raeder and Otto Stinswind, chief of the Naval War General Staff, who are opposed to disembarking soldiers along a wide front, believing that this would make it easy for the powerful Royal Navy to attack German vessels. Hitler voices his doubts about the invasion. "We lost our chance of signing peace when the Duke of Windsor, Edward VIII, was the king. I hope the British see sense," he comments. Meanwhile, the fighting intensifies in the skies over the south of England. German planes bomb a convoy in the English Channel, the fuel deposits at Exeter, and the ports of Portland and Newport. Dundee in Scotland is attacked as well as the war industries of Billingham and Newcastle, and 13 RAF planes are shot down. On the other hand, the British bombed the German naval bases of Kiel on the Baltic and Emden in the North Sea, along with several airfields in Brussels and the industrial heartland of the Rhineland. Sunday, July 14th. In London, the government orders the start of Operation Ambassador. Commandos will try to take back the Channel Islands. Poor organization and bad weather leads to disaster. On the island of Guernsey, those soldiers who are not drowned end up German prisoners. Commemorating Bastille Day in London, General de Gaulle, leader of the Free French, places a wreath on the tomb of the unknown soldier in homage to those fallen in the war. In a speech, he calls on the French people to continue the struggle to free their country from Nazi tyranny. For his part, Churchill says, "A year ago in Paris, I watched the stately parade down the Champs-Élysées of the French army and the French Empire. Who can foresee what the course of other years will bring? And I proclaim my faith that some of us will live to see a 14th of July when a liberated France will once again rejoice in her greatness and in her glory, and once again stand forward as the champion of the freedom and the rights of man." In Hamburg, Germany, the battleship Bismarck leaves the dry docks and is now to undergo a series of tests. In the Sea War, U-52, commanded by Otto Salmon, sinks the Greek merchant ship Thetis A. Monday, July 15th. In a radio broadcast, Churchill says, "We shall defend every village, every town, and every city." The vast mass of London itself, fought street by street, could easily devour an entire hostile army, and we would rather see London laid in ruins and ashes than it should be tamely and abjectly enslaved. British planes attack strategic points in Germany. The factories of Bremen, the fuel deposits at Paderborn, and the refineries of Hamburg are hit hardest, along with several airfields in the Netherlands. From their bases in Egypt, RAF bombers make raids against the Italian military infrastructure in South Assab, Eritrea, and the port of Tobruk in Libya. In Chicago, the Democratic Party Congress gets underway. Although he is keeping it quiet, Roosevelt knows he will win the elections for a third term as president. If he manages to be re-elected, it is likely that Britain will receive more support. The submarine warfare has intensified since the German U-boats started to use bases in France with easier access to the Atlantic. They can patrol for longer periods and cover greater distances, thus increasing their effectiveness. In the Battle of the Atlantic, U-34, commanded by Wilhelm Rollmann, sinks the Greek merchant ship Evdoxia, while the British destroyer Escort disappears in the Mediterranean Sea after being torpedoed by the Italian submarine Marconi. Tuesday, July 16. In Berlin, Hitler signs Directive No. 16, ordering the invasion of Britain. Command of Operation Sea Lion is given to General Walter von Braustich, the Commander-in-Chief of Land Forces, Grand Admiral Erich Raeder, Chief of the Kriegsmarine, and Marshal Hermann Göring, Chief of the Luftwaffe. It is necessary for the forces involved in the operation to undergo intensive training. The Germans are worried about the response of the RAF and the Royal Navy. The British Navy must be lured out to the Mediterranean and the North Sea through a series of diversionary actions. Hitler orders troop and weapon movements prior to the operation to be carried out openly, still hoping that the British might be intimidated into signing a peace deal. The air offensive against Britain is to reach its maximum intensity by the 5th of August, with the aim of destroying the British Air Force. Following this, the Wehrmacht troops will be able to cross the English Channel, protected by Kriegsmarine warships, a plan which makes Hitler uneasy. Hermann Göring, confident in the power of the Luftwaffe, sends up his planes from airfields in Brest, in northern France, and Narvik, in northern Norway. He is convinced that the fighting will only last for a few weeks. The chief of the intelligence service of the Luftwaffe, General Beppo Schmidt, having informed him that the RAF is greatly inferior capacity to the German Air Force, with its fighter plane production not exceeding 190 units per month. In Japan, Admiral Yonai and his government resign. Prince Konoye, supported by the army, will be the president of the new government. Wednesday, July 17th. In Berlin, Foreign Minister von Ribbentrop proposes to Hitler that they should organize a conference and invite representatives from the governments of Russia, Italy, Japan, Spain, Hungary, and Bulgaria, with the aim of creating a great coalition to put pressure on the British government to negotiate a peace settlement. The Soviets reject the offer, however, as Stalin does not trust the Nazi leader's intentions and is focusing his diplomatic efforts on achieving a non-aggression agreement with the Japanese. At the same time, propaganda minister Joseph Goebbels and Alfred Rosenberg, a leading Nazi ideologue, organize meetings with the members of the foreign press to explain what the new order in Europe will look like after the fall of Britain. In London, the newspapers criticized the government's decision to close the road linking Burma and China, via which the Chinese receive most of their supplies. The measure is considered an attempt to appease the Japanese in the face of the threat of an invasion of the British colony of Hong Kong. In Egypt, Italian planes bomb British positions in the port of Alexandria and the airfields of Mersa Matruh and Sidi Barrani, 95 kilometers away from the Libyan border. In the sea war, U-34, commanded by Wilhelm Rollmann, sinks the Greek merchant ship Naftilos. The British vessel Fellside is sunk by U-43, captained by Wilhelm Ambrosius, while U-57, commanded by Eric Topp, destroys the British ship Manipur and the Swedish vessel Brodin. Thursday, July 18th. The air war between the British and Germans escalates. The RAF attacks German warships off the coast of Belgium and Holland and airfields. On their raids, the British planes reach the oil refineries located in the Ruhr River Basin in the northern Rhineland of Germany. Meanwhile, the Luftwaffe attacks the Royal Navy base at Scapa Flow in the Orkney Islands off the northern coast of Scotland, while the Wehrmacht occupies the island of Ossant near Brest in the northwest of France. On the Mediterranean front, Italian planes bomb the British base of Gibraltar, and the Spanish dictator Francisco Franco officially demands its return to Spain. In retaliation, the RAF attacks Italian positions in Tobruk, Libya. In Berlin, the Minister of Propaganda, Joseph Goebbels, proudly welcomes the returning 1st Division, which has fought in Poland and France. In the House of Commons in London, Winston Churchill explains his decision to cut the Burma Road, main route of supplies for the Chinese government at Chongqing. He argues that the measure has been taken with the aim of alleviating tension in the area. In the Sea War, the Royal Navy announces the loss of its destroyer, Irigen, in a collision. U-58, commanded by Heinrich Schonder, sinks the Norwegian merchant vessel Gyda, and U-99, captained by Otto Kretschmer, sinks the British ship Woodbury.